the Prime Minister has just tweeted, landed in New York City, looking forward to the programs here, including interaction with thought leaders and the Yoga Day program tomorrow, the 21st of June. That's the first statement from Prime Minister Narendra Modi put out on social media platform Twitter. Landed in New York City, looking forward to the programs here, including interaction with thought leaders and the Yoga Day program tomorrow, the 21st of June. Interaction with thought leaders, Geeta, before I bring in our guest once again, interaction with thought leaders very high on the Prime Minister's agenda, because it's not just, as you said, it's not just government to government, it's investment in India, it's bringing businesses in India, it's bringing jobs in India, but the US equally excited about jobs being created in the United States of America, Geeta.
Well, absolutely. When you say thought leaders, Gaurav, there could be some names from the Nobel laureates here in New York who could be meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi. But going back to what you said, connecting with the business community, he's going to address a massive gathering of over 900 people, 900 to 1,100 delegates from the business community. USISPF that is organizing it. We spoke and had an interview with Mukesh Aghi, who spelled out all the details. But it's Micron that's going to be interesting. It's a counter-China move, semiconductor chips getting out of China and not looking at other countries, but looking at India to manufacture those chips is certainly a huge leap forward. The other very important aspect, again, from B2G, if you look at, is Foxconn coming to India, that they're not just going to manufacture enough for the Indian market, they're going to manufacture enough to be able to export from India. That's a huge leap. Again, we're looking at import and export of, particularly export of Apple phones from India, rather than from America, from China, or for that matter, from any of the Southeast Asian countries. Vietnam has really taken off when it comes to engaging America and getting businesses into Vietnam. But India is trying to lead in that role of an alternative in a resilient global supply chain, and all this post the COVID-19 pandemic. Speaking of COVID-19 pandemic, Gaurav, there expect some important outcome and deliverables on the health sector as well. So there are a lot of aspects to be covered, a lot of areas to be covered, whether agreements, important announcements that could be made. All sectors today, like Mukesh Aghi said, and it's a very important statement that he made, that there isn't a single boardroom today, a major boardroom, where how to invest in India, how to look at India is not being discussed actively. That's the USISPF president telling India today, that all major boardrooms in the United States of America today are discussing on how to invest, engage and take businesses to India.
Very interesting, and should that happen, it's actually a win-win, Ambassador Sikri, both for India and for the United States of America. It's actually a lose-lose for China. So it's wolf warrior diplomacy or debt trap diplomacy or its Belt and Road Initiative. All these actions of Chinese President Xi Jinping seem to have boomeranged or seem to be boomeranging on China, ma'am.
Yes, certainly. I think the Belt and Road Initiative you mentioned is a classic example of a very ambitious project, but which went sour because of poor planning and financially inappropriate planning. We saw it in Sri Lanka, where the countries who accepted the Belt and Road Initiative in the early stages now find themselves deep in debt, unable to pay back China, and China is not ready to lift a single finger to help them. And when Sri Lanka was in its worst dire straits, we saw that it was India which came to help them with billions of dollars. China was not even difficult to get China to agree to renegotiate the debt with Sri Lanka. So the Belt and Road Initiative is now recognized the world over as a debt-inducing project and is being kept away from people. But I'd like to mention how the engagement with India is leading to mutual benefit in America. You would recall that just a few months ago, when Air India ordered about 500 Boeing aircraft aircraft, which is so vital for India's civil aviation sector and for the revival of Air India, President Biden himself rang up Prime Minister Modi to thank him for the order, because that order would create 1 million jobs in America across 44 states. So, I mean, to say that this is always the element of mutual benefit, which is vital, which has to be kept in mind. And that is how India and America are negotiating to show that the deep roots of the relationship can be built only if this element of mutual benefit is kept in mind. And we are doing that at every stage. And the meetings with the thought leaders, the meetings with the business leaders are all to understand and appreciate from them what is it that they are looking for in India, and how is it that what they are looking for, the meeting of the minds between what they need, what they are looking for, and what India has to offer. There are many areas other than technology. There's health, and there's biotechnology, and there's even sports. There's even the training of young students. I think visas, what you just mentioned, is a very sensitive area, and there are difficulties with the students who've got admission into colleges opening in September, just a couple of months down the line, but they still have no idea about when or how they're going to receive their visas. I'm sure this issue will also be talked about, because it affects the lives of individual students. This is an area where we have to seek an earlier decision. I know people are even going out of India, going to Nepal or going to Bangkok to get their visas, or get their visa interviews at least held up, to be held. So this is a way in which we have to create these mutual beneficial areas, and all our people are looking at that. The agenda of the talks is sure to encompass all these areas.